There are many overt ways that narcissistic parents try to control you into adulthood. Things like using rage to get you to stop talking, or the silent treatment to punish you, make you feel bad for something that you didn't even know was a problem. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 ways that narcissistic parents continue to control you into adulthood that may be a little bit more subtle and may be less detectable. So, watch this video and just see if you relate to any of these 5 ways that I'm going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Dr. Meg Haworth. I'm a transpersonal psychologist, holistic nutritional chef, and best-selling author of Get Well Now, Healing Yourself with Food and the Power of the Mind. And I help wounded ACONs, adult children of narcissists, to become healed icons. And what's an icon? An icon is somebody who's independent, confident, original, and naturally you. All those things the narcissistic parent separates you from. Those are the things that we work on holistically, mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, and spiritually in my holistic academy called Love School Online Holistic Academy. So, one of the first hidden ways that narcissistic parents use to continue to try to control you into adulthood is financial control. Financial strings, basically. There's always some kind of a string attached to finances. So if they have money, they're going to use that to control you by giving you money only when they approve of giving you that money. And then there's going to be some sort of string attached to the money that they're giving you. Or maybe they're giving you gifts through love bombing you. And they're doing that to keep you in their back pocket so that when they need you for something, they can use you at any time. The thing with the financial control and with gifts and those kinds of things is that it is always, they're giving something to you to get something from you. That's always the case. And so if you're noticing like, wait a minute, that's what's been happening in my, with my parent, notice that it's very important to really understand this dynamic and what they've been doing all along. Another thing a narcissistic parent might do when it comes to financial control is they will help you with something, but then they're going to attach a bunch of rules and conditions to the help that they're giving you. So again, they're not going to give just out of the goodness of their heart to try to help you. And often you'll feel very, very awkward with a narcissistic parent, even asking them for help in the first place, because they have trained you to believe that you're not important, your value is not high, you're not worth it. And also to be very careful about what you do say or don't say. And so often you'll feel very afraid to ask for help if you need it. And quite often, with my clients, I've seen clients would rather starve than ask their narcissistic parent for help. And when they break down and do it, there's all these rules, these conditions. You have to remember with narcissistic abuse and narcissistic parent, love is conditional. Everything is conditional. It's based on what they want, they desire. And this is one of the ways that they control you. So getting your finances in order and taking control of your own financial life is going to be one of the most empowering things that you can do to create that independence that I'm talking about so that you can become the icon in your own life. Another way that narcissistic parents might use financial control when you are an adult to keep you under their control is by using the inheritance as a way to keep you around or to get you to do things that they want you to do for them. Succession is the show that really illustrates exactly what a narcissistic parent does when there's a lot of money at play. It doesn't even have to be a lot of money. It can be a little bit of money. But they like to leave you guessing up until the day they die and beyond about inheritance. And is it coming to you? Is it not coming to you? They cut you in, they cut you out. They tell you all these different stories to try to get you under their control. And so something I suggest in this regard is to just give up the idea of inheritance altogether. Just don't even think about it. And continue to take care of yourself and focus on yourself and heal your own issues with finances, because so many of us ACONs have very difficult time with finances and with worth and value, with charging what we're worth, all kinds of different things. But we can heal those things in our own lives. Another thing a narcissistic parent will do when it comes to financial control is they will make you doubt your own ability to care for yourself. So they may put down what you do for a living. They may not agree with it, and they may try to lower your self-esteem so that you don't feel as connected and happy about the work that you're doing. There's always like this part of you inside internally is that inner child that wants to please that narcissistic parent, but it's never, ever going to happen. And when you do accept this piece, as you go through your therapeutic process, as you go through your healing process, it will create a freedom in you that will allow you to create financial freedom for yourself, because that's going to be one of the most important things that you will do when it comes to financial control and your narcissistic parent. So even if your narcissistic parent doesn't have a lot of money, they tend to latch on to one of their kids who may have the money. Either way, they're expecting financial help. They're expecting financial control and expecting you to help them with the money that you make. So that's another thing that they're doing, because not every single narcissistic parent is a successful money-making person. Sometimes they're on the woe is me victim end of it, and they have one story after another as to why all of their things that they tried to create success and create money and failed, when it was really their thing all along. Maybe they gambled it away. Maybe they spent it on things that were not important. Maybe they never saved or invested or any of those things. A lot of times narcissistic parents have left a tremendous amount of financial destruction in their wake, and they may expect you to pick up the pieces of that. So narcissistic parents do all of these things to keep you under their control financially, to force your obedience, and to keep you in their back pocket all the time so that they can use you for whatever it is that they want to use you for. And this creates tremendous dependency upon them. They want you to think that you can't do it on your own so that you are under their control. Another one of the hidden ways that narcissistic parents use to control you into adulthood, and you're going to know this one, anyone who is listening who's been through this, is guilt tripping. And guilt tripping can be very overt, but it can also be very subtle. They may chip away at your self-esteem around your own independence, trying to create deeper dependence upon them. So they make you feel guilty about the life that you're creating for yourself. They'll try anything that they can to make you feel bad. And the thing is, they programmed you to be this way. They programmed you to think about them first and you last. In fact, you're not supposed to think about yourself at all. And that's a key to healing, by the way, just to drop that into your consciousness as we're talking about the guilt trip, and as we're talking about these ways that narcissistic parents use into adulthood to try to continue to control you. They can use all kinds of guilt tripping things. Things like making you feel guilty about setting a boundary. So you told them, no, I'm sorry, I can't come over that day. I have this work thing that I have to do. Or I have something with the kids, or, something that was really important that you need to get done. But because you prioritized yourself over them, they may punish you by making you feel guilty about the very thing that you really need to do. And the truth is, you're not on the hook. You shouldn't have to be on the hook for taking care of your parent. There's so many different ways that they could be getting help from other places. They could, be hiring help. They could be asking someone else for help. Or more importantly, they could be doing it all on their own, doing it themselves. Often they create this helplessness that they want you to take charge of. They want you to take care of them. So they create these big dramatic situations and exaggerate them and make them bigger than they are, when that's not the truth of what's happening. They actually are highly capable and could be taking care of the thing themselves. They just refuse to. They're so used to using you for that purpose. And this is one of the ways that they stay in control, because control is at the core of the narcissistic person. They're trying to get control over you and keep and maintain that control all throughout your adulthood. And so setting boundaries is going to be something that's very, very important. And a boundary is going to look something like they start screaming at you on the phone, or they start guilt tripping you about something. And you say to them, I am not available for that. If you keep yelling at me, I'm going to have to hang up the phone. Or just say, I'm hanging up the phone now. And then you hang up the phone. That's key right there. If you don't follow through on the boundary that you set, the boundary is really the rule for yourself. You're not going to take it. You're not going to take the yelling and the screaming and the guilt tripping. And so then you set the boundary and then you follow through on the consequence of their actions. These aren't your actions. Their actions were the ones that led you to have to set the boundary in the first place, because they raised you without any boundaries. And that was really quite purposeful and intentional, so that you could be easier to control. And so this stuff is not that easy to unlearn, but you can definitely heal it. Another subtle way that narcissistic parents use to control you way into adulthood is through comparison. So competition, jealousy, envy, those are all things that narcissistic parents use all the time to control you with. So jealousy and envy are two emotions that they definitely hurl at you because they feel uncomfortable with their own inner state. And so they're projecting their own inner state onto you. And their inner state is in turmoil all the time. And so it's very important for them to keep this mask up for the public of them being this great person, or they're really smart, or they're really, they're really the best at this, the best at that. And they're so altruistic and helpful, but behind closed doors, that's not how they are at all. They're complete opposite, and they're trying to hide that at all costs. And so this jealousy and this envy is something they feel a lot, and they make you responsible. They don't want you to cross the line into the things that make them feel that way. And you become aware of this as a child. And so this comparison and contrast thing that they do is to try to lower your self-esteem and keep you into self-doubt. The more self-doubting you are and the lower your self-esteem is, the easier you are to control, because you're in self-doubt, you're in confusion. And then you just automatically start doing the things for them that you think they want you to do for them, because you're so accustomed to this whole cycle of abuse that you didn't even realize was a cycle of abuse. And so as you start to notice these things and the ways that they're using to try to control you, these subtle ways, that they start to become overt, because then you can't unsee them. And then you start to do things differently. And that's really where the healing starts to happen, and where you start to claim yourself, because claiming yourself is the true victory in all of this. So if this stuff is resonating with you, I'd love for you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and please hit the like button, and also give me a comment. Just let me know, does this stuff resonate with you? Have you been through this yourself? And also, do you have anything that you would add to this video? I always love to hear your own stories, so please feel free to put those in the comments below, and I'll respond to them. Another way that narcissistic parents use to control you, a subtle way that they use way into adulthood, is that they become over-involved in your life. So you might be so used to how they've been trained you to be very involved in their lives. I've heard things from my clients over the years, like their narcissistic mother is involved in their lives every single day. They're trying to get information out of them, telling them how to arrange their home. They might actually come over and rearrange their kitchen or their living room. They tell them how to raise their children. They get very, very involved in their lives, and they make it seem like, oh, they're helping you out so much, and they're such great parents. But you're feeling all these feelings about, like, well, what about me as parent? What about me as homeowner and designer? Where am I in all of this? But you're so used to them taking control and controlling the way your home looks, controlling the way you parent, controlling what you're wearing, or what hairstylist you go to. There's so many different ways that they use to control you. And this is a key way, is by becoming very over involved in your life, and on top of you about things. And what's so interesting is that they're on top of you about things, looking for what you've done wrong so that they can tell you how to correct it and make it right, when there's no right or wrong. And you end up not knowing at all who you are. You don't even know what you like sometimes. So it's really important to really understand, like, what is it that you do like? Maybe you don't like florals in your home. Maybe you just like solid colors and you like blues and not yellows. But you don't know this because you've been deferring to that narcissistic parent for your entire life, because they're doing this into adulthood, where they're telling you how to be. They're on your case all the time, and they're on you again. They'll do it, and just they'll be the nicest, and they'll be paying for the things. So then you'll feel like, well, I owe it to them to not be upset about this. Meanwhile, you're feeling all these feelings that you're not allowing yourself to feel, and you're pushing them down in your system. And as you push those feelings down into your system, it drains your body of your energy. And this is really a lot of what I focus on, is the emotional energy that's been drained from your body over time, and how that can also lead to persistent symptoms. It could be stomach aches, it could be irritable bowel syndrome and ulcers like I used to have. It can be headaches, migraine headaches that you get regularly, like I've gotten as well. And so really looking at all of these connections, these holistic connections, is a really important part of the process of understanding what you need to do for you to heal from the wounds of parental narcissistic abuse. So for you to claim your independence, you're going to have to learn to start setting some boundaries and start really asking. It's not even asking. You shouldn't have to ask your own parent as an adult for permission to decorate your house a certain way, or to take a certain course, or go back to school and get a degree in something that you really care about. You shouldn't have to ask for their permission for any of that. This is your life, and you should be able to live it the way that you want to live it. But you're also really afraid of the guilt tripping that they're going to give you on the other side of this. So you see how all of these manipulation tactics that they've been using to keep you under the control are also associated with one another. They're really tied together, that's for sure. And another way that narcissistic parents use to try to control you well into adulthood, that might be just a little bit more subtle than some of the overt ways that they do it, is by playing the victim. And narcissistic parents, narcissists in general, will play the victim when they're trying to get you hoovered back in and trying to get you to do something for them. And so they may make an illness or a symptom that they're having, blow it way out of proportion and make you focus on them to get them all the help that they need, when they're not really that sick. They're not really in that much pain, but because they're pulling on your heartstrings, they're pulling on your sense of empathy and kindness. And then you'll feel guilty, because that they're faking things, or that they're being over dramatic, or that they're not really being on the up and up about the way that they are playing the victim. And here's a key way that they do this too, is we look at victimization. And one of the things that they'll do is this tactic called DARVO. DARVO is an acronym, DARVO. And basically the D means deny. So they deny something and gaslight you by saying things like, well, I never said that. I never did that. No, I didn't do that. And then as soon as they deny the thing, and sometimes they deny it silently with just a look, like, right? You've seen that look, right? That dramatic look, And so they're denying something that you're trying to call them out on, or you're trying to have a conversation about, you're trying to work through, but they're not able to do that. And then the next thing that they do is they attack you. And attacking you is something like, well, you're just so sensitive, or you just think you're so perfect. There's so many different ways that they attack you to try to take you down, when you might be approaching them with something that you're feeling very vulnerable about, that you really just want to talk about. but they don't have the skills and they're not ever going to acquire them. So this is one of the things where you have to stop doing that. So after they attack you, then they do this reverse victim thing. So now it's like, well, after all the things that I have done for you, when you started the whole conversation by calling them out on something awful that they did, you see? So now that's the reverse victim and offender. So now they're offended and you're the problem. And they've been doing this to you your entire life. DARVO is one of the main ways that they victimize themselves. They flip the script on you and become the victim of the experience when you were the one who was victimized in the first place. And it is so destabilizing and it is so painful and so difficult, but you're going to be so used to being DARVO'd by your narcissistic parent that you're not even going to notice it. But once you start to see this thing that they do, and it could be any narcissist in your life. It could be your boss. It could be your friend. It could be your sibling. It could be anybody in your extended family system. It could be anybody that is narcissistic. You'll start to notice how they flip the script on you. And as soon as, especially when you're trying to call them out on something like, hey, you know, it really hurt me when you said this thing the other day. You can't have open discussions with narcissistic people like that. That's the very thing that they're going to flip right on you. I never said that. What do you mean? I wouldn't have said that. I'm not like that. And then they flip the script on you, and then they become the victim of the experience. Playing the victim is a big piece of narcissistic abuse. And how well into adulthood, you know, they keep doing it. If what I've been talking about in this video today has been really resonating with you and you feel like, oh my gosh, I really need to talk to somebody and get some help, apply to speak to me for free. The links are below. Apply to speak to me and we can talk about my Love School Online Holistic Academy and the different offerings that I have inside of that. And we can talk about just, you know, all the different things that I have available to you to help you heal from the wounds of parental narcissistic abuse. I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I thank you so much for watching, and I hope this information will help you get well now.